All right, I'm going to talk about everything that's going on because I cannot think about anything else. And I really wanted to sit down and record some kind of video today about something fun before the holidays, but I can't get it out of my brain. So you know me, I like to keep things pretty positive around here, record videos about sims and games that I like, different things that I'm into and want to share them. But this whole issue that's going on really worries me. It worries me that the hobby that I enjoy so much might be really changing, and in a way that makes what I like to do maybe not possible for the future. So what's going on is today it was announced that iRacing, their official partnership and deal with IndyCar, is coming to an end at the end of this year, which at the time of recording this is just 9 days away. And so starting in 2023 on January 1st, they will no longer have any mention of IndyCar anywhere on their website. None of their official series will be sponsored by IndyCar or called the IndyCar series, and they will not be hosting any official races that use any of the IndyCars, the IR05, the DW12, the IR18, at any current IndyCar venue. So that's Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Barber Motorsports Park, Detroit, I don't know, whatever the other ones are, Long Beach as well. So there'll be no more official IndyCar racing, including the big one, the Indy 500 that iRacing has hosted for many years at this point. So this is all very sad and troubling. Something very similar happened with Le Mans a few years back, where they're no longer allowed to host an official 24 Hours of Le Mans. I think R-Factor 2 had that license. It's some kind of crazy licensing hell where some sort of relationship between IndyCar and iRacing couldn't be worked out anymore. The absolute kicker for me, and what kind of put it over the edge, is that not only can you not race these things in official series, but they're no longer going to be allowing even broadcasts of races. So if you wanted to host your own Indianapolis 500 in iRacing, you would not be able to have a broadcast of that. I don't know if that extends to streamers and kind of the stuff I would do and driving in first person, and if it's just simply like a TV style broadcast, or if it does apply to just sharing screenshots and videos from racing at these circuits. But it creates this strange line where you kind of have access to this content and these things, but you can't really use them in a full way. It's a really troubling change that I've seen more and more just in the last couple of years as this sim landscape changes. I've been doing sim racing a long time, nearly 30 years at this point, since I was a very young kid and started with some of the earliest sims. But as sim racing has continued to grow, and especially in the past couple years during the pandemic boom and a lot more interest being paid towards sim racing, it seems like these contractual deals and things have been coming up a lot more and really changing the hobby and restricting what we may be able to do. I'm thinking about this a lot because I don't actually really race the IndyCars in iRacing that much. I used to do it a little bit, but certainly I'm not the guy doing the races every week and running broadcasts, so this largely doesn't affect me directly today. But these licensing rules and how you can use and show content seem to be getting more and more strict and appearing in more and more places that it feels like I'm going to start running into these things eventually, and already kind of have. This past weekend we hosted the final round of my road racing championship, and just based off of everything I had read in the past and heard, I decided we definitely should not use the name Le Mans for the track, just in case, which feels very silly and something that is a third-party modification for a sim, nothing officially in the sim, and it's this little race that we all really love, but in the scheme of things is so small, and that really has no money or anything financial on the line outside of the money I paid out of pocket to put it on and host my own broadcast. But I had that little fear in the back of my mind that if I called it Le Mans, that you never know who might see that and say, well, that's not officially supposed to be Le Mans, and then cancel the whole thing, or even worse, maybe end up with legal action or something for myself just over a silly sim race at the end of the day. It really affects your enjoyment in these kind of things. You're supposed to do sim racing, and the reason I do this is because I love it. I love to experience motorsport. I love to put myself in the driver's seat, especially in historical context, but even in modern cars, and experience these cars and tracks and be able to watch racing on TV and relate to it a little easier. I know it's nothing like doing the real thing, or in a lot of ways it's very different, but even if I can get a little bit closer in understanding what the drivers are going through, understanding some of my heroes of the past and what they were able to do, it just makes the whole thing a lot better. And you don't want to have to look over your shoulder all the time and wonder, am I breaking some contract rule, and am I showing something I'm not supposed to show? And a lot of folks aren't in the scenario where they have a YouTube channel or they stream or anything where they maybe have to think about that stuff. But with these changes that have been put in place on iRacing, I think it's pretty likely that a race is definitely going to be shown post January 1. And what's going to be the reaction of that? Are folks going to get sued or cease and desist, or is iRacing going to get legal action against them? I don't think we really know. I'm kind of devolving and speculating at this point. But it's very worrying. I know maybe a couple decades ago, there was this long-standing Porsche exclusive deal with EA. I was just trying to think back through these different licensing things. There's been lots of different things, but that was one of those really prolific ones. Everybody always knew that, you can't have Porsches in any sim because EA owns the rights to those. And when that finally ended, you saw almost every sim get Porsches right away. But think of all the cool things we would have had in Gran Turismo and different racing sims over the years if Porsche could have been in them. I remember that extended to a little more recently when GTR 2 was re-released on Steam, which is a great thing because it let a lot more people install and experience that old sim. It was without the Ferraris and Porsches in it that were originally in the sim because there was no licensing, or the license had expired for them or been transferred to somebody else. And so there are some examples of this happening somewhat historically. But in just the last couple months, there were even a couple more things. In rFactor 2, they've had to delist their Silverstone circuit because some license ran out there, so you can no longer drive Silverstone or purchase it new. Maybe if you have it, you can continue to use it, but it's officially removed from the game overall. And then we saw not that long ago that Project Cars 2, one of the most popular sim games, has been entirely removed from sale. You can still use it if you had it, but you can no longer purchase it, at least officially. So it feels like this thing with iRacing is just another one of these removals of something we have over some dispute about licensing. And I want to be clear, I don't think iRacing, of course, has a part in this because it is their sim, and it is odd that they're only letting everybody know 9 days before it runs out. I don't know at all the scenario behind the scenes, but I feel that maybe iRacing feel very similar to we do about this. I think it's something to do with IndyCar and their licenses, and perhaps some swindling by some other developers out there to pull away the license on some big promises, and it actually affects all this. And they maybe don't even realize what had happened until this point. There'll be some others out there that I know will dive deep in with either facts or maybe conspiracies about exactly how the licensing works. I don't want to claim to know anything about that. But what I do know is it hurts our enjoyment of it. I made a video not too long ago about all of the IndyCar sims that are out there today, and specifically with an eye towards offline racing. And in that video, I talked about iRacing being this amazing offline sim. Everybody knows it for its online racing, but offline, it's one of the best that's out there, if not the best one for pure, AI racing against modern IndyCars. But with this announcement, who knows how that might change? They might just remove the AI entirely from the tracks that they're not supposed to be allowed to race on. Maybe it'll remain untouched, but are we allowed to share that type of thing? I thought it might be fun to make some videos about IndyCar racing at some of the different tracks and do some sim races and stuff there that have wrapped up some of the other stuff I was doing. But I'm honestly a bit afraid to do anything like that. I think I'm gonna have to see how everything shakes out over the next few weeks. So it stops being fun really quick when you have to worry about something that you're enjoying and whether or not you're allowed to enjoy it. And so needless to say, this is absolutely not going to help IndyCar at all. And I think a lot of people, or at least in all the communications I've seen, they're really kind of blaming IndyCar for this, which again, I don't really know who's at fault, but you're not going to attract any new fans by not having your presence anywhere. A lot of people don't like iRacing, and so maybe losing iRacing specifically is not the big issue, but there's really no official sim now for IndyCar, at least for a little while, until something else gets announced. So you can't put on an IndyCar sim race really anywhere. So I don't know. I'm not going to ramble too long about this. I just wanted to let you know that I'm pretty worried about this. I'm worried what it means about things I can create, of course, what it means about the future of different sims, and are we allowed to use certain things? Should we be excited when something's announced, because will it just be removed a couple years later? I don't like this future where things are only kind of rented to you. And I think we all, knew that in iRacing's contracts. When you buy things, it's very clear in there that you're really just renting it from them. So they could technically even just delete the cars. And who knows, maybe that's on the table. going forward. But yeah, I don't like this future. It makes me worried that no matter the content, maybe outside of even this IndyCar thing, based off all the other stuff that's starting to be removed from Sims, that we're going to constantly having to be worried that some of our old favorite games are no longer, allowed to be played, or you can't download them anymore. I mean, I love Grand Prix Legends. It's kind of what my whole channel's based on. Who's to say Formula One can't claim the rights over historic F1 and not allow us to make videos about that anymore? I don't know what the rules are there, but it makes me worried for all that type of stuff. So I'm sure we'll learn some more in the coming days, and I wish I had some ideas. I would love to be able to share this is what should happen, but it feels so out of my grasp, out of something I can influence, that I just kind of have to sit back and watch. Maybe that's why I feel so helpless with the whole thing too, is it's nothing I can influence, and if a developer makes something and it's not, up to snuff, or maybe they make something really good and you want to promote it, right? I have some things I can do about that, but this just feels like you had something and it's been taken away. One of those you don't realize what you have till it's gone scenarios, and I feel a little bit helpless in the whole thing. So a pretty dark day for IndyCar sim racing, and hopefully one that has a good resolution, but I guess we'll have to see on the other side. So sorry for the downer of a video, but even in talking about it for 10 minutes, I actually feel a little bit better. So we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully things play out. I'm rooting for us that we can somehow have something fun to play and to stream and race and have fun with IndyCar. And for everybody out there that does a lot of IndyCar racing and iRacing, I really hope this gets resolved for you. I know there's some awesome leagues out there that suddenly just can't exist anymore. So I hope there's some resolution for you in the near future, and maybe that there's enough noise about this that something can be worked out in the shorter term rather than later. But anyways, dark days. Hopefully I can get my mind straight and have something a little bit fun coming up for the holidays and everything. But yeah, hopefully this is the last video that I feel like I have to talk about something like this. So anyways, keep your fingers crossed that something can be worked out and that we can all look back at this in the future as a moment where we were able to turn in the right direction and preserve this hobby that we love so much. But I guess we'll all have to see. So thank you for watching anyway. This is GP Laps, and I'll see you all again next time.